Hello and welcome to the Outer East Football Netball Show, brought to you by Gameface. I'm Aidan Miller, and once again in the studio with me is Steph Barkers. Good afternoon, Steph.
Good afternoon. We're back again, and as always, plenty to talk about this week. We're going to take you around the grounds as we always do and bring you all the latest news from Outer East.
Ones to watch also back as well. We're going to be looking at a couple of players from football and netball who you should look out for this week.
Of course, we have a match of the round preview. This week, it's Upwey Tacoma versus Warrigallic. They have played each other earlier in the season, so looking forward to seeing the result of this second matchup.
We also had 3 interviews this week, can you believe? 3. We had an interview firstly with Yarra Junction President Troy Armstrong after the Eagles win on the weekend. Plus 2 very special guests as well, can you believe? Kevin Sheedy and Aunty Joy Murphy. And a massive thank you to David Ball and Yarra Glen Football Netball Club for allowing us some time with the First Nations lunch and special guests.
Absolutely. Thank you, Yarra Glen. We review Aidan's grand final predictions from episode 1. So you made some predictions about who would make the grand final and who the premiers would be.
Yes.
All the way back before the season started. We're going to review those. We're going to see if you're going to stick with them or if you've changed your mind since then.
Yeah, there might be a couple of changes. But anyway, and our fantasy football and netball is back, of course, as well. We're going to add a goalkeeper to our netball side. We're also going to add a fullback and a centre half back to our footy sides as well.
All right, let's get into it. Around the grounds, there is only 2 months left for the Toyota Good for Footy raffle. So as a reminder, support your club, buy a raffle ticket. Your club keeps 100% of the profits. And when you have a raffle ticket, you go into the draw to win some awesome prizes like a brand new Toyota.
We still have one more theme brand for this season. The TAC brand is coming up in round 14 over July 19th and the 20th. Don't forget the TAC Club Rewards program is back for 2024. And as part of the program, your club can take part in up to $10,000 in funding by promoting road safety in your community.
Get around that. A reminder that our Under-9s Carnival is this Sunday at Warrigallic. I'm very much looking forward to that. Round robin tournament style. I'll see you guys there. Looking forward to it.
Don't forget as well, it's NAIDOC Week where we recognise the history and culture and achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. NAIDOC Week is an opportunity for all Australians to learn about First Nations cultures and histories and participate in celebrations of the oldest continuous living cultures on Earth. Visit naidoc.org.au to find resources or see events and activities happening in your area.
All right, it's time for this week's ones to watch. Firstly, let's look at the men's footy. Who have you selected?
Warburton Millgrove's Tom Barr plays usually on the half-forward line. 2 of the 5 goals on the weekend, 4 score involvements, 8 tackles and 15 disposals. Usually one of the better players in that Warby side.
From a women's footy point of view, I've gone for Madison Dodge. She plays in the midfield at Monbulk. She takes the game on and takes advantage of the space. I was really impressed with her clean hands. She had a lot of ground ball gets, a lot of bounces and just running straight through the middle down to that forward 50. And scoreboard pressure, even though she's in the midfield, she kicked 2 goals on the weekend. So she's one to watch for me.
Featured in the team of the week a couple of times as well this season as well. So very strong selection there. And from a netball perspective, Janelle Chandler, goal defence for Yarra Junction. She's also made the team of the week multiple times. Plays for the Western Warriors in the VNL. She's fast, dynamic, good at creating space on the court and often springboards them from that back third as well.
For sure. Great selection there too. All right, well, it's time for our Match of the Round preview. Really looking forward to this one. As we mentioned, Match of the Round this week is Upwey Tacoma and Warrigallic. There'll be plenty to talk about here. It's the second time they've played this season. Let's jump into the footy.
Should be an interesting one, Steph, for sure. Warrigallic is still second on the ladder with an 11-1 record. Upwey Tacoma a 4th with an 8-4 record. Warri last week just narrowly escaped defeat against Officer. They were down. They just came back to win by 3 points. Upwey Tacoma, surprisingly, went down by 70 points to Monbulk, who've incredibly jumped into the top 6 after being, I think, 0-7 it was at one point this season. So definitely, probably both teams wanting to respond, in particular Upwey. They won't be too happy about a 70-point loss, particularly after a win against Narre Warren the week before. If we go back to round 2, Warri won that game by 3 goals after trailing by about 3 goals with about 15 minutes to go into that last quarter. So that was quite an incredible performance by them. Some of the matchups you're likely to see, Sam Waters, he'll probably either match up on Josh Neal or Taylor Gibson, just kind of depends what's going to happen on the day. And in terms of the matchups in the midfield, you're likely to see Geordie Williams and Sam Raru go head-to-head in the middle. From a netball perspective, Upwey Tacoma are 8th on the ladder. Warri are also 9th on the ladder. Both teams are 4-8. Upwey just ahead of Warri because of the previous matchup, which they won against Warrigallic back in round 2 as well. That game also a come-from-behind victory. Upwey trailed by 5 goals in the last quarter of that game before coming back to win by 2 goals. Some of the direct matchups you'll see, Chelsea Smith and Georgia Donnelly should go head-to-head in the centre, and you'll likely see probably Jamie O'Hare matching up on Danica Corliss, who's got over 200 goals this season.
Super interesting. Really looking forward to this. I think both both matches will be quite close. Let's go. Who's your tip for footy?
Ooh, it is an umpire. I'm just going to side with Woori Alec in the footy.
Interesting.
Yep.
And netball?
I might also decide with Woori in the netball as well.
All right, let's see how we go. Looking forward to it. All right, well, as we mentioned, we have 3 really great interviews this week. But first and foremost, let's have a look at our interview with Troy Armstrong, the club president at Yarra Junction. We interviewed him post-match after the Eagles' 2nd win this season.
Well, we're here today with the Yarra Junction president and also one of the players in the senior team, Troy Armstrong. Troy, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Glad I could do it.
Very strong win today, mate, by the tune of 26 points. It was your first win since round 1. What does it mean to get that win?
We've been building and building and building, and there's a couple of blokes in this team that haven't had a win at Yarra Junction at all, and they've been here for a couple of years. So to get that done finally, especially one of the guys, is like, okay, I'm not the problem. It's good. We got to win. But yeah, we've been building. It had to happen at some point.
What were some of the plans coming into today's game?
Actually, what we probably did a lot in that second half, chipping it around, not rushing, and actually playing the game on our terms. Like when we've got the footy, they don't. So let's control it. And we did it finally.
Yep. One of the big moves we've noticed this season is Luke Spalding coming out of the ruck and moving into sort of the centre half back position. What kind of brought that about?
Oh, he's just a freak athlete. He's probably a little bit taller than me and can jump over a building. So, yeah, he's just athletic. He's got a great set of hands. As much as I'd love a younger person to be in the ruck and I can be fat up forward, that'd be nice. But he's just too good. I think he's only missed Team of the Week once this year, and he'll get back in this week after today. So that's not a bad effort.
Yep. And yourself, mate, I thought you had a pretty good game today in the ruck as well. And I think they changed it around a couple of times. Darren Gowski went in there and also Surplus as well. But you look like you held up pretty well.
Look, I play like it's the veterans. So I kind of have 1 week on and 2 or 3 weeks off. I haven't trained in 4 years. So I kind of do the old Nick Rewalt method of just 1 trundle a week and that's it. But it's just nice to actually still run around with some young kids and be able to do it.
Does it keep you pretty busy doing the president stuff as well as being a player as well?
Yeah, look, being 3rd year as president now, those little surprises that happen in the first few years are less and less and less. So it hasn't been as bad. And we've just recently bought a house, so we've moved back up to Junction after being out for 15 years. So I'm now a minute 20 from the club, which means I'm there all the time. But yeah, we've got a good committee. So a lot of us kind of jump in, do the work that needs to be done, and it actually hasn't been too bad.
What do you want to get for the rest out of season 2024?
Look, if we can sneak another win or 2, that'd be great. We've just signed 17 of our players last week for next year. So we're on the way. Our coach is coaching again. We've got some boys at some other footy clubs that can't say that they've signed with us yet. So if we can get a couple more wins just to build some momentum, I think next year looks really good already. Fingers crossed.
Troy, thank you so much for joining us today, mate. Good luck with the rest of the season.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Second interview we had for the week was with Kevin Sheedy, of course, a Hall of Famer in the AFL and a really big person in terms of bringing lots of Indigenous culture into the game and really making it well known, of course. He was the one who created the Dreamtime game, so it was really great to have a chat with him.
Well, we have a very special guest with us today here at Yarra Glen, the one and only Kevin Sheedy, one of the most legendary, if not the most legendary coach of the AFL. And Kevin, the first question I wanted to ask you was, how did you initially come up with the concept of the Dreamtime at the G game?
It was mainly to do with just recognising our Aboriginal players from all over Australia and our Aboriginal people.
Yep.
To me, I enjoy the great talents that they've had, obviously, and of course to connect Richmond, where I played, and Essendon, where I coached, was probably a fantastic feeling for me. Because I kept on one club And I love Aunty Joy. And of course, she just walks in on any shot. And of course, the Bombers were the team I bagged for. I went to school in Richmond, and I bagged for Richmond when I was a kid. So a bit of a mixture there. But the name Dreamtime comes from a wonderful artist in South Australia called Ainsley Roberts. He went and basically painted a lot of mythologies about Indigenous Dreamtime, and I thought it was just fantastic.
And could you have ever imagined the Dreamtime growing into what it has today? I mean, now it's a full round in the whole AFL competition, and now it's filtered down to local football. Did you ever think that was going to happen?
No, I didn't realise that was going to happen at all, to be honest. You never know when you're going to start something. I mean, the difference between Anzac Day, which was always there, was there for 80 years before I created the game with the RSL 1995, that's 30 years ago. And of course, but they already had the word Anzac because they owned the day. And of course, in the end, to me, it was finding the right sort of feeling about it. And Dreamtime was perfect, you know, just a great name. And Ainsley Roberts wrote a lot of Dreamtime books about his artwork. And I like art into football because art is a game. It's the talents of the magnificent players that the Aboriginal players have performed in front of many of the great crowds in Australian sport.
Who were some of the Indigenous players that you particularly just admired the way they played the game?
Well, I could be here all day. It depends how long this reel goes for. But obviously, when you look at Polly Farmer, when I first saw him play, Sid Jackson was a marvellous player. Then you've got to look at the players, Michael Long, Gavin Wanganeen, Buddy Franklin's kicked over 1,000 goals. He comes from not far out of Geraldton, you know. And then when you look at the Picketts, you know, like Marlon Pickett played his first game in the Premiership.
Yes, he did.
Incredible. Byron Pickett won a Norm Smith medal. And little Bobby Hill last year won the Norm Smith medal. And basically they're from the same group of their own little nation of Noongar people in West Australia. So then Derek Kickett, who I coached, Gavin, Longy, you know, so Paddy Ryder.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's from amazing people and amazing sports stars, you know. And when you look back, they've just produced so many incredible sports stars just in footy, let alone all the other sports in Australia.
No, they most certainly have. I remember when Ryder won the Anzac Day medal in 09. I don't think he'd ever played in the ruck, Kevin, and that was amazing seeing him go in there. And lastly, the Mighty Bombers with a big win on Friday night over the Collingwood Magpies. That must have been a good feeling last night.
Well, it was. The last match was a draw.
Yes.
It was a close game nearly all night, and the Bombers got up this time. So it's what, we get 6 points and they get 2.
Yep.
Collingwood with the Premiership side, it's hard to win 2 in a row.
Oh, certainly.
And we've done nothing for a fair while. So maybe we're on the right track, and that's one of the reasons I come back to the club to see if we get the footy area correct. I think we're on the right track now.
No, they're looking pretty good at the moment. The Bombers in third on the ladder. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today, mate. We really appreciate it. You know, as you say, you've just contributed so much to the game of football, and we're all very grateful for it.
It's great to be up here. Thank you very much, and all the best for all the clubs in the league.
And last but not least, we were very lucky to chat with Aunty Joy Murphy on Saturday. She was at the Yarra Junction game to do a welcome to country before that match and gave us a few minutes of her time after the game.
Well, we have another really special guest with us here today at Yarra Glen. It is Aunty Joy Murphy. She's very well known around these parts. And Aunty Joy, what does it mean to see your community really embracing the Indigenous culture?
Yeah, look, for us, it's something that, you know, we have to take a breath every time because every year it gets better and better. But not only that, it's the enthusiasm leading up to it and then people talking about it now, which they've not done in beforehand. And now we're having, you know, people saying, is it still happening? And, you know, what's happening? So, look, we really appreciate it.
You've obviously got a really good relationship with Kevin Sheedy. We've interviewed him today as well, and he's been quite big in terms of bringing this sort of stuff together with football. What does that mean to you to kind of see the Indigenous culture really embraced by, I guess, the broader AFL community?
Yeah, look, I think there's two things. You know, it's always been a male-dominated industry for a long time in football and netball. And, you know, now we've got that influence of our women, which are young women, which is really, really important. And not only that, it's bringing the families back together again. So we're extremely happy with that. And I think just looking around the crowds today, you see the families then come back later on and after the games and get together. And I think with the AFL, you know, they need to be reminded not only just the importance of what we do in sport, but what's behind community and what's behind country football as well.
Can you tell us a bit about your affiliation with the Outer East Football Netball League and your involvement with it over the years?
I've been very fortunate. I've been very blessed. I'm very passionate about sport. 5 brothers playing football in the league. My brother, oldest brother, you know, many, particularly here at Yarra Glen, coached and brought them home to premierships and so forth. But also my sisters played netball, so we've been involved right from the word go. And I think what's really important for me, and having the honour of being patron of the league, is something that you say, well, I hope I've got enough experience and knowledge to pass on to people and make it bigger than what it is. Not outrageous, but bigger, and that makes it more inclusive. So I really love it.
And the Welcome to Country, that's been another really big addition.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been a real big part of that sort of stuff at the AFL level and even down here in local.
Yeah.
Again, that's something else that I'm sure you're really passionate to see being sort of brought into our culture.
Yeah, I think, you know, again, bringing that back to community, bringing it back to local clubs, that's where it all starts from, where the players go higher up and so forth. And today, having beautiful Gabby Coffey with us was just amazing. I mean, she's playing netball tomorrow, so it's great that she's made the effort to come out here today. But equally, I must say that gives not only, you know, players like Gabby and others, but it equally gives them a chance to put their roots back in. And that's like she was saying, she's got a long way to go home, but she felt today that she was being welcomed by family. So
that's exactly what. Aunty Joy, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate all your insights, and I think, you know, it's really important for us to all really embrace the Indigenous culture and, you know, pay our respects to all those past, present and emerging. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, you do a great job. Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's go to our next segment, grand final predictions. I'm really excited about this one. I'm so excited to see whether you're going to stick with your predictions or you're going to change them up. As a reminder, these were done way back in episode 1 before the season had started. And Aidan gave us his tips about who he thought was going to make the grand final and then who of those 2 teams were going to be premiers. So let's go through them, see where you're at. We'll start off with Premier Division A-grade netball. Your prediction was Wandon versus Mount Evelyn with Wandon as premiers. Are you going to stick with it or are you feeling like you want to change it up?
I'm really torn. Wandon a second, Mount Evelyn a third, Narry is still top. Mount Ev do tend to have a little bit of the wood on Narry Warren. I actually spoke about that with Caitlin Black when we interviewed her a couple of weeks ago, but they did lose that prelim to them last year. I might make a slight alteration. Unfortunately for Mount Ev, I might take them out. I might put Narry Warren in, but I am going to stick with Wandon as premiers. I just think losing it last year, I think might just give them that bit of drive to go that extra step next year. There's always a bit of fire in the belly. I know a lot about losing grand finals, a lot of sports, Steph, and I can tell you, like when you lose one, it just makes you want to win even more. So
yes, okay, all right. So half sticking with that one. Let's take a look at Div 1 A grade now. So you had Seville versus Warburton Millgrove with Warby to be premiers.
I'm going to stick with that one.
Stick with that one.
I'm going to stick
Strong.
with that one. Yep.
All right. Div 1 women's footy. Alinda Ferny Creek versus Hillsville with Alinda as premiers.
I'm going to make a slight alteration on this one. I'm going to leave Hillsville in. I'm going to take Alinda out. I'm going to put Pakenham in.
Yep.
And I'm actually going to make Pakenham premiers.
Ooh, okay. All right. Div 2 women's footy, you had Seville and Woorayalik with Seville as the premiers.
I'm going to take Seville out and I'm going to bring Monbulk in. I will... Oh, this is a tricky one. I'm going to go Woorayalik premiers.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Premier Division men's footy, Wandon and Narry Warren, but you'd switched it up from last year. So you said that you thought that Narry were going to be premiers.
Yeah. This is an I'm going to take Wandon out. I'm going to put Wuri Alec in. I am really torn because the two sides were so close when they played early the season. Like Wuri were up and then Narry came back and just won it by 5 points. It does depend a little bit on where they're going to play the grand final. I think if you've got it on a smaller ground, you'd probably back Wuri Alec. On a bigger ground, you'd probably back Narry. I'm going to just stick with Narry, though. I think they're a very strong side. They might just adapt to conditions that maybe don't suit them a little bit better than what Wuri might. But that's what I'm going to go with for now.
Amazing. All right. And last one, we've got Division 1 men's footy. So you had it down as Alexandra versus Warburton Millgrove with Alexandra to be your premiers.
Yeah. Division 1 men's football, I think, is the closest competition of all. I think anyone in that top 5 could go and win the flag. I actually said that on UGFM last Friday when Peter Weeks asked me that question. I was genuinely sitting on the fence. I just didn't really know what to answer. But, yeah, it's a good one. I think I'm going to go a bit of a bold play here. I'm actually going to take them both out. I'm going to throw Hillsville and Seville in there, and I'm going to go with Hillsville as my premier.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. All right. Well, we've had some change-ups now. We'll review this again probably in our last episode of the year, post all the grand finals.
Yep.
See how we've gone. But yeah, exciting. It's so exciting that most of the competitions are really tight at the top. And,
certainly.
And really it could be anyone's game. So
yeah, exactly right. No, it should be good.
Amazing. All right. Fantasy football and netball. This week for the footy, as we mentioned, we are choosing our fullback and our centre half back.
Yep.
Who did you go with?
Well, for the fullback, I'm going to go with Tom Boots from Alexandra. I think he's averaging nearly 4 intercept marks a game and also about 7 contested marks a game as well. So reads the play really well, does Tom. He was one of their better players probably in that losing grand final last season. And I'm going to go for my centre half-back. I'm going to go with Sam Cannon from Emerald. He's a bit of a swing man. You can throw him forward if you need to as well. But again, another really strong mark. But the other thing with Sam, he's just great by foot. He's a really good user. He's a long kick and he hits targets so often. So that's what I'm going to stick with for my centre half-back.
For me, my fullback is going to be Jack Nolan from Seville. He's leading his team in contested marks, intercept marks, and spoils. He's ranked at elite level on Premier Data for all those stats, plus 1%ers and rebound 50s. I think he's a little bit underrated. He's only made Team of the Week once so far this year.
Yep.
So he is my fullback. My centre half back couldn't go past Luke Spalding from Yarra Junction. He's made Team of the Week every week except 1 week this season. Again, leading his team in contested possessions, contested and intercept marks and spoils. Ranked elite level on Premier Data for all of those. Saw him play on the weekend. He's just everywhere. He's very strong down there. So he's
just a very smart footballer, Luke. He just gets into good spots all the time, reads the play really well. Yeah, that's a good selection.
All right, well, we'll jump over to netball. This week we are selecting our goalkeeper, which is our last one on court. We'll have some subs on the side, but last one on the court, goalkeeper. Who did you pick?
It was very hard to go past our Prem A grade BNF winner from last year in Caitlin Black. She's just a very smart player. Another VNL representative with the Northeast Players as well is Kate. I think defenders in netball cop it harder than any kind of defender in any sport I know. Though often it feels like even when the goal shooter or the goal attack initiates the contact, they're the ones that get penalised. But Kate, she uses her height really well. She's just got really good positioning on court. You know, she probably causes more interceptions, I think, of any player that I've seen in our competition. So she's going to be my goalkeeper.
Very strong choice. Well, you spoke about it earlier. I've gone with Chanel Chandler. We talked about her. She's good at finding space. She's quick. She's great both defensively and attacking. Plus her experience at VNL level makes her a really challenging matchup for a lot of people in our comp. So that's who I've gone with.
Well, that pretty much wraps up all there is to talk about in the Outer East this week. If there's anything you'd like to see in the show, make sure you leave a comment down below and we'll try and get onto that. Steph, thank you again for joining me in the studio today.
No worries at all.
For all the viewers out there, don't forget to get your game face on.